Hi everyone, it's Monica, and welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. So with the holidays almost behind us, it's time for me to start thinking about Valentine's Day. And I love creating Valentine's Day cards, so I thought I would go ahead and share with you one of the cards that I created over the last couple of days. Now, I love vintage greeting cards, and I have several of them. This is one card that was actually in my family photo album, and I just love these little note cards that are attached to it. Some of these vintage cards are just so sweet, and I thought it would be fun to try to recreate a card similar to this one, but not exactly. So when I found a die cut from Sizzix that held little love notes in these little pockets, I thought these would be perfect to try to recreate this card. Now the die cut is an Eileen Hull design, and it is so cute. In the die set, you get enough to create the little pocket along with the little inserts, and then you also get the flowers as well as the leaves. Now you also get these little corners inserts where you can actually use them to attach pictures or photos, or put them even on the sides of your or the corners of your cards. So this is what I'm going to be working with to create my Valentine's Day card, and I want to show you how I created it to create a cute little love note card. So let's go ahead and get started. Now what I really love about this die cut set is it is a framelit set, and it is one of the thinlits, so it works perfect with my Sidekick. So I can easily just sit on my desk and create my cards and have my little Sidekick right next to me, die cutting the pockets and the inserts that I need. Now the set has several pieces. It's going to come with your pocket, it will come with your note insert, and then again it will come with 3 dies to create your layered flower. It also comes with 2 little leaves to create some leaves. And then again you'll get the little corner edges to be able to insert photos, or even put it on the corner of your cards as a little bookmarker. Now these little die cuts are perfect to work with the Tim Holtz Chit stickers, but they also work with really small stamps, and I happen to have this stamp set in my stash that worked perfect for these cards. So to begin, I started out with some pink cardstock, and then I ran it through my Big Shot with my embossing folder, and this created some really nice texture. And then I trimmed it down because I want this to be the base of the card to go on the white cardstock, and then I'm going to put another piece of pink cardstock on top that will house my little love note pockets. Now there are a few tools that I have right on my workstation, and this guillotine trimmer is one of them. So when I have my desk set up, I have my Sidekick right next to me. I have a little ScorePal scoreboard next to me. I have my guillotine trimmer, and then I also have my envelope punch that I use to actually round my corners. So these tools are tools that I use all the time, and I like to have them really handy, so I have them right on my desktop. And then once I had everything trimmed down, I went ahead and took my pink ATG gun, which is another tool that I have right on my desktop where I can easily grab it, and I adhered the decorative pink cardstock onto the embossed cardstock. Now when you are gluing down cardstock onto an embossed piece, sometimes the raised edge is a little bit hard to have paper stick to it, so you want to make sure that you are using a really strong adhesive. Sometimes when I'm doing this as well, I might put some brads to just help secure it, and then washi tape, of course, is a real good way to help secure your cardstock as well. So once I had my cardstock base in place, it was time to go ahead and cut out my little pockets. And as you can see, I am working with some more pink cardstock to create my pockets. Now one thing you want to be aware of when you are creating these little pockets is that if you have any words or anything that has to go a specific direction, you want to be careful, because when you do fold that flap, it could be upside down. So I like to use paper that just has a random pattern. That way when I fold it up, it doesn't really affect what direction that it's going in. And then I took the die cut that was the little insert of the pocket, and I ran that also through my Big Shot. Now for this piece, you want to make sure that the cardstock isn't too busy, because you're probably going to be stamping a little sentiment on there or adding a little note. Now if you're using a sticker like those Chit stickers, it probably won't make a difference, but you don't want your pattern to be too busy, because then it might take away from the little love note or the little sentiment that you're going to be adding. Now for the pocket, I wanted to use some adhesive that was really strong, because whenever I have items with pockets or inserts that I know I'll be putting in and out of a pocket, I want to make sure that it's very secure, because I don't want the tugging to affect the pocket. So one of the adhesives that I like to use, and I use these for my passport books as well, are the red line tape, and this is the double-sided sticky tape that you can use for journal books. And the red line tape comes in different sizes. It comes in really thin sizes, as well as a medium size and then a thicker size. And these really thin ones are perfect for these little pockets. Another idea, if you're going to be creating several of these little cards, is you can easily die cut several of these pockets all at the same time. Sometimes it's nice to have everything cut out before you start creating cards, especially if you're going to be creating several of these cards. Now, I created several of these die cuts and I put them in a little baggie because I know that I'm going to be using them for some other Valentine's Day cards that I'll be creating. I also think I'm going to be adding these to some of my Valentine's Day passport books, because they are just so cute with these little love notes. And then that way I don't have to keep bringing out my Big Shot or my die cuts to create my cards. I'll already have them all cut out and ready to go. So once I had my pockets and my little tag all cut out and put together, it was time to add my flower. Now the flower die cuts come in 3 pieces, so you can layer them. And you can easily get some coordinating cardstock to create a really cute flower. And then each flower does have a little hole in the middle, so that way you can just attach them with a brad. And then once you have your flowers together, then you're going to want to center it on your little note piece insert, because it's going to be able to mat perfectly onto that top portion. Now before you actually put your flower together, you want to use the biggest flower as your guide to punch that hole onto your note card. Now I suppose you could easily glue it, but I thought it would just be perfect to go ahead and attach it all as one piece using my brad, and then that way I know my flower won't come off. Now if you do use a brad, your flower may move a little bit, so after you put it together with the brad and attach it to the little note card, you may want to add some adhesive if you don't want your flower to move around. I didn't mind the flower moving around, but if that's something that bothers you, you may want to add a little bit of some adhesive or a little bit of Tombow mono glue, and then that way your flower won't spin. And then once you have your flower in place, then it's time to add your leaves. Now the set comes with 2 leaves. You have a bigger leaf and a smaller leaf. And I just took my poking tool and I bented my leaves right in the middle. And then I took some of my adhesive to glue down my leaf. Now I put the leaves in between the larger and the middle size flower, and that seemed to work really well. Now I like to position my bigger leaf first, because then I'll mat my little leaf on top of my bigger leaf. But again, it's completely up to you how you want to position your leaves. You could even use more than 2 leaves if you wanted to, but I thought 2 kind of did the trick for me. Now if you recall, in the beginning of the video I did share with you the completed card, and the card had 2 little pocket notes. So after I completed the first one, I did exactly the same thing to create the second one. So I'm not going to do that again on camera, but just keep in mind it's this exact same process. Alright, so once I had both of my pockets in place and put together, then it was time to adhere them to the front of my card. And I just kind of eyeballed it, and I put them so they wouldn't overlap. But again, position them however you want. I wanted to make sure that I had room to pull the little notes out, so that might be something that you keep in mind when you are positioning your pockets. And then for some added embellishment, I did take some of my pink and white baker's twine, and I tied a knot towards the bottom. Now my baker's twine did go over the bottom portion of my little pocket on the bottom, and that really didn't bother me. Originally when I was working with my design, I had my baker's twine underneath the pocket, but I was concerned that the pocket might not adhere very strongly if I did that. So, and that's why I decided to come in and just tie the knot and the baker's twine right over the bottom pocket. Now I adhered my base to my white cardstock after I had actually put the little pockets on. But one thing you might want to do is actually adhere your cardstock to your white base before you actually put the pockets. Remember, when you do have your pockets on your cardstock, you're going to have a little bit of bulk. So not that it's difficult, but if you want to have a little bit smoother surface to work with, you may want to go ahead and just add your cardstock to the base of your card before you add your little pockets. But either way, it's not that big of a deal. I just wanted to point that out to you. All right, so once I had my base on my white cardstock, it was time to add some little love notes. And like I said before, these Chit Chat stickers from Tim Holtz were perfect to work with this little die set. You can easily put little sentences together, and if you find some words that work, maybe like love or cherished, those are great single words as well. Now, while these little note inserts fit perfectly in the pocket, keep in mind you may have other things in your stash that you can also stick in the pocket. Maybe you have some of the little tickets that you can add in there, or even those little flashcards that you have in your Tim Holtz Idea-ology collection would work perfectly in these little pockets. So be creative. Whenever you have a die cut set, you don't necessarily have to follow the designer's ideas to a T. Use it how you see fit. And if you have other types of embellishments that will work for these little pockets, again, be creative and kind of create your own design. Okay, so now it was time to add my little love note. And I just happened to have this stamp set that had little tiny words. And I bought this stamp set a while ago and I haven't really used it very much. But this stamp set is going to be perfect for these little cards because I have several words that would work for these types of Valentine's Day cards. I have words such as good times, sharing, you and me, memories, smiling, you rock. I even have some ones that would work for friends. So these are going to be working perfectly for these little pocket dies, especially if I want to put a little note right on the inside. Now, if you don't have a stamp set that has little words, again, you can write your own word. There's nothing that says you can't write a little handwritten note on these little cards. Or you can also use those Chit Chat stickers that I shared with you earlier. Now, depending on the ink that you use, whether it's fast drying or it does stay a little bit wet, you want to be careful and not stick your little love note back in the pocket too soon because you don't want to smear your sentiment. So after you stamp your sentiment, just keep it out for a few minutes and give it a good few minutes to dry. And then that way you won't risk smearing that cute little sentiment that you just created. All right, so with the outside completed, it was now time to decorate the inside. And as I shared with you earlier, the die set from Eileen Hull comes with these little corner tabs that work to hold some of your pictures in place. Now, these can also work as little bookmarkers as well. You can just put them on the corner of your page and they'll be a cute little bookmarker. But I decided to use them to hold a picture. And I have some old, probably 50s pictures that I printed out, and they are perfect for Valentine's Day cards. So I wanted to go ahead and attach a little picture inside of my Valentine's Day card. So just think about it. If you're actually creating a Valentine's Day for your loved one, wouldn't it be fun to create a photo that you might cherish? Now, whenever you are including photos on your cards, you want to scan them and print them out. Please don't use your originals because you will have a hard time replacing those originals. I scan a lot of my photos when I'm using them for my cards, and I never use my originals. So if you find a really cute photo, I have a photo of me and my husband when we got married, and it's one of my favorite photos. And I've used that a lot on my cards, and I even have it as a ornament on my tree. But that's something that I can print out and include on my card. And this is a photo from 30 years ago. So creating these Valentine's Day cards, especially the vintage inspired ones, are fantastic when you add some old photos. All right, so once I have those corner tabs all put together, then I just put them on the corners of my photo. And then I added adhesive to the corners, and then I glued it down to the left inside portion of my card. Now, you don't want to adhere these corners to the card without the photo because then you may not get them positioned exactly the way that you need to. So use the photo when you are positioning these, and then just add them to the corners like I did on this particular one, and then adhere them with the photo. And that way you know that the photo will fit every single time. I really love creating cards that have additional embellishments. It's so fun to add ephemera or even some of my own vintage photos to some of my cards because they really create a personal touch. There's another die cut that I use often, and you've seen it on some of my other cards, and that's the pocket die cut from Tim Holtz, and that has some slits where you can also include inserts. And I wanted to share that with you as well because when I was creating some of my Valentine's Day cards, I did actually have this die cut on my desk, and it worked perfect for a Valentine's Day card as well. So not only do these little pocket dies work for inserts, but you can also use this Tim Holtz one. And it's perfect size to add some of your photos, some of your flashcards, as well as little journal cards. So I hope that you've enjoyed my little sneak peek of a Valentine's Day card. And I'm going to be creating some more in the new year. I just wanted to give you a little taste of some of the cards and share with you one of the die cuts that I recently picked up from Eileen Hull. So as always, we'll leave a list of all the products that I've used to create the cards along with the links to the stores. And if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be coming out with a lot of fun and new content in the new year. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you in 2019.